Hello everyone, welcome to Durrett's Take. It's that time where I go over my college football bowl predictions. Now for this video, it's just going to be just the other bowls only. I'll make a separate video with the playoffs. Well, let's get started. We got the first bowl game happening tonight, which is the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl. It will be South Alabama, who's in 8.5 favorites, versus Western Michigan, 9 p.m. Eastern, ESPN. So here's what I do know about this game. Western Michigan is not coming in with good momentum. They're 1-3 in their last 4 games, and their offense is not explosive as it was when MAC play began. South Alabama, they have some good wins as of late. They beat the Sun Belt runner-up Louisiana a few weeks ago, and they have a very explosive offense. Western Michigan would have to win in a shootout to win this game, and since, as I mentioned, their offense has stalled as of late, I'll take South Alabama to win. Plus, it's a de facto home game for South Alabama with this game being in Alabama. So I'm going to have South Alabama winning 30-24. Next, you get the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. You got 25 Memphis, or 5-point favorites, versus West Virginia, Tuesday, December 17, 9 p.m. ESPN game. West Virginia will be having an interim coach for this game, which could be a factor. Is this team excited to be at a bowl game that's not that's against a group of 5 team? Are they excited to be in a bowl game that doesn't bring the eyeballs and the cachet as other Big 12 bowl games like the Alamo Bowl or Pop Tarts Bowl, stuff like that? I can see that being a factor. Also, while West Virginia has a good offense, their defense hasn't been great, and Memphis has a very good offense. So I can see the Tigers winning this game after winning 38-27. Next, you got the Boca Raton Bowl. You got Western Kentucky versus James Madison, or 9.5-point favorites. Wednesday, December 18th at 5:30 ESPN game. This game has a lot of question marks. Western Kentucky played, beat Toledo and lost by just one to Boston College in non-conference play. They whipped Sam Houston in the middle of the season as well. However, they have not looked good in the month of November, losing at home in a low-scoring game to Louisiana Tech and then getting blown out by Jacksonville State in the conference championship game. And their average in the last 4 games, they're averaging just 14 points a game right now. On the other side, while James Madison destroyed North Carolina early in the season, their only other good win was against a 500 Coastal Carolina team. Both starting quarterbacks will be out this game. The difference maker for me is since James Madison's an excellent rushing team and Western Kentucky has a bad rushing defense, I think James Madison will run their way to get their first bowl win at the FBS level, either way 20-16. Next, you get the Art of Sport LA Bowl. You got California, 1.5-point favorites versus U24 UNLV. This is an interesting game. It would have been more interesting if UNLV head coach Barry Odom was on the sidelines for it since he took a job elsewhere. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to get the same UNLV team we've seen throughout the season without their head coach being there. That has beaten multiple Power 4 teams this season. California, they have a talented squad, but they're really bad at closing game, which is why they're a 500 level team. Also, a big factor in this game is that California's starting quarterback is in the transfer portal. I've gone back and forth in this game, but I think despite the Rebels not having their coach, their roster will be another Power 4 team this season to get a big win. I have the winning 17-15. Next, you get the RL Carries New Orleans Bowl. You got Georgia Southern, who's 6-point favorites, versus Sam Houston. So Sam Houston, in their second season as an FBS team, has made a bowl game. Big congrats to them. However, they may not get a win. Their coach has left for starters, which has led to many players going out in the transfer portal. The bigger reason why they probably won't win is even though their defense is really solid, their offense is not. They're awful. Georgia Southern has a really good offense. I think they should win this game. Either win 26-10. Next, you get the Staff DNA Cure Bowl. You got Ohio for 3-point favorites versus Jacksonville State. So you get the MAC champions versus the Conference USA champions. I don't think it's debatable if the MAC's a better conference as a whole. However, that can't be the only factor. So in non-conference play, Jacksonville State, I know it's hard to look at non-conference play because teams are different by then, but non-conference play, Jacksonville State got blown out by Louisville, which makes sense, but then they lost against a mediocre Eastern Michigan team and a mediocre Eastern Coastal Carolina team. Ohio played the ranked Syracuse team tough, and they beat an explosive offense in South Alabama in the non-conference play. Plus, the team that Ohio beat in the MAC game, Miami, Ohio, was a senior-heavy team that won the conference the year before. So the fact that they only won but destroyed them was very impressive. Now, neither team will have their head coach in this game, which makes things tricky to predict. But I think Ohio's talent went out in the end. Either way, 30-17. Next, you get the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. It's Tulane versus Florida, 14-point favorites. There are Power 4 versus Group of 5 matchups that should produce good bowl games, but this one is not one of them. Florida's coming in with huge momentum after upsetting LSU and Ole Miss to close the season. Tulane got whipped by Army in the conference title game, and their starting quarterback is in the transfer portal. Therefore, I'll take the Gators to win their game, and if they're on their A game, this will be a blowout. I'll be winning 34-10. Next, you get the Myrtle Beach Bowl. You got Coastal Carolina versus UTSA, running at 8.5-point favorites. So this is a little tricky game. On the one hand, UTSA ended the season strong to become a bowl team in the first place. Plus, they're really good in bowl games over the recent years. On the other hand, this game is being played at Coastal Carolina's home field. So the factors that will sway me one way is that Coastal's quarterback is in the transfer portal, and UTSA, as I mentioned earlier, is coming in with better momentum. So therefore, I will lean with the Roadrunners to finish the season strong, get the win. Either win 27-16. Next, you get the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. You got Northern Illinois, 3-point favorites versus Fresno State. Now, this was, out of the other bowl games, this was one of the hardest bowl games for me to predict. I just do not know what's going to happen here. Everyone remembers back when NIU went into South Bend and upset Notre Dame in week 2. Well, they didn't really do much after that. And Fresno State was supposed to be a contender in the Mountain West, but they took a step back from last season. Both starting quarterbacks in this game are in the portal, which makes things tricky. I think NIU will muster up some magic for that Notre Dame upsetting, and Huskies get the win, either winning 16-14. Next, you got Hawaii Bowl. You got South Florida versus San Jose State, 4-point favorites. Out of all the bowl games where it's like a Group of 5 versus Group of 5 team, this one could be really interesting. San Jose State makes a bowl game year 1 under head coach Ken Niumatalolo. They have an explosive offense and one of the most underrated receivers in college football, Nick Nash. This is the team that wants to air it out, so if South Florida's good pass rush can get home, that could help them a lot. However, South Florida has not beaten one team this year that has made a bowl game. Therefore, I think San Jose State can now score the Bulls to get the win. I have San Jose State winning 35-27. Next, you got the game above Sports Bowl. You got Pittsburgh, who are 7-point favorites, versus Toledo. This is a hard game for me to predict. Pittsburgh started the season 7-0 and then lost 5 straight to end the season. When you're on a long losing streak, it's hard to snap out of it. Toledo could beat anyone on any given day since they went to Mississippi State on the road earlier in the year, and they've beaten top teams in the MAC. Because of the talent of Pittsburgh and the long layoff they've had to regroup, I think they could figure out a way to get a win, but this game may be closer than expected. Pittsburgh winning 17-14. Next, you got the Rate Bowl. You got Rutgers versus Kansas State, 6.5-point favorites. For a team to finish second in the Big 12, this was a disappointing season for the Wildcats. Quarterback Avery Johnson showed flashes of his talent, but he was very inconsistent. The film was on him. You know, if the Scarlet Knights can just stop the run, force Johnson to throw, they'll win the game. However, I think Rutgers' offense, is kind of a similar way where if you can stop Rutgers' rushing game and make them throw, then they're going to struggle as well. And I feel like they may not be able to outscore Kansas State, and that's the reason why the Wildcats ended up winning this game, either winning 24-20. Next, you get the 68 Ventures Bowl. You got Arkansas State versus Bowling Green, 7-point favorites. Because of where this game is, there will be a lot more Arkansas State fans there, and that's what those fans will have to be a factor in order to win this game, because I think Bowling Green's the better team. Arkansas struggled to beat the good teams on their schedule, while Bowling Green played Penn State tough and Texas A&M tough. And they're a veteran team, so I think Bowling Green will get the win here. They're winning 22-17. Next, you get the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. It's got Oklahoma, 8.5-point favorites versus Navy. On the surface, this may seem like a really interesting matchup. However, I can see the opposite happening. While Oklahoma's going to have a different quarterback, since Arnold's in the portal, luckily Oklahoma has started back quarterback this season. Navy's offense has not been as dynamic as it was to start the season, especially as they face tough competition. And Oklahoma has a very good defense, so I feel like Oklahoma will pull away late to win the game at the win 20-7. Next, you get the Birmingham Bowl. You got Georgia Tech, 2.5-point favorites versus Vanderbilt. Now, normally I'm not fascinated by the Birmingham Bowl, but this time I am. Georgia Tech has some quarterback injuries that impacted them from being an ACC contender, but they beat Duke, upset Miami, and played Georgia very tough. For Vanderbilt, they finally make a bowl game for like the first time since the James Franklin days, I think. They beat Alabama. And played other good SEC teams well, like Texas, Missouri, and LSU. I could see this being a high-score game. It would not shock me, either one wins. But despite Vanderbilt being one of the best stories in college football this season, I will lean just slightly with the Yellow Jackets to get the win here. I have Georgia Tech winning 38-31. Next, you get the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. You got Texas Tech 3-point favorites versus Arkansas. This game could be very interesting. Both teams will be without key weapons. Five-star receiver Micah Hudson's in the transfer portal for Texas Tech. Running back Jaquanian Jackson has declared for the draft for Arkansas, so I assume he's not playing. Also, both coordinators for Texas Tech are gone, which makes things challenging. Both quarterbacks will have to step up in this game. Tech star running back Tosh Brooks has decided if he wants to play in this game or not. If he plays, he's the difference maker in this game. Also, just as a little nugget, both teams have played Oklahoma State this year at Oklahoma State. Arkansas lost in overtime, and Texas Tech won. And also another nugget is that Joey McGuire, since he's been the head coach of Texas Tech, has been undefeated in bowl games. So I think that will continue as Texas Tech barely gets the win. They have the win 27-24. Next, you got the DirecTV Holiday Bowl. You got 21 Syracuse, 8-point favorites versus Washington State. Usually the Pac-12 team has success in this bowl game. However, that may finally flip this time. Syracuse has a great offense, and Washington State's defense is not that good. Then add to the fact that they come in on a losing streak and lose to teams like New Mexico. Washington State's offensive coordinator is also gone. So Syracuse should be able to outscore the Cougars for 1 year, winning 41-24. Next, you get the SRS Distribution Bowl. You got Texas A&M 3-point favorites versus USC. Both teams had high expectations that they didn't live up to. I wonder which team actually wants to be in this bowl game. The Aggies are the better team here, no question about that. But USC's offense is feisty, and if Texas A&M doesn't play with the right energy, the Trojans could get the upset. Despite USC's 6 losses this year, they were in mostly every game they played in this year. I'm going to assume that under Coach Matt Uckel, he gets his squad ready to go, and the Aggies get the win to build for next season. I'm going to win 27-23. Next, you get the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. You got UConn versus North Carolina, 3-point favorites. This is an underrated matchup here, and this was literally, for me, out of all the other bowl games, this was the hardest game for me to predict. With Coach Matt Brown gone for North Carolina, the Tar Heels just better be careful here. UConn has played multiple ACC teams this season. They lost to a 9-win Duke team by just 5 points. They lost to Wake Forest by just 3 points, and then they lost to a ranked Syracuse team by just a touchdown. I think the Huskies can keep this game close, if not get the upset, especially if North Carolina running back Amari Hampton does not play in this game because he's the X factor. I'm going to assume he doesn't play in the game, therefore I have UConn getting the upset 23-21. Next, you get the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. You have Boston College versus Nebraska, 2.5-point favorites. Though Cornhuskers finally make a bowl game, congrats to them. They'll be dying for it. Can they win it and finish it with a winning record is the question. If they do, this will need to be a defensive game. Nebraska's offense, more often than not, has struggled. And Boston College, since they made a quarterback change late in the season, has been very solid on offense. Nebraska has more talent overall, so it should win a game, but in bowl games, upsets happen, crazy things happen, so therefore I have Boston College getting the win. I have the win 23-20. Next, you got the Isleta New Mexico Bowl. You got Louisiana versus TCU and 11.5-point favorites. Now, this bowl matchup is actually for Conference USA team versus a Mountain West team. However, since there were not enough bowl-eligible teams for either conference, you get a Big 12 versus Sun Belt matchup. I think the I like the Horned Frogs biggest matchup, quite frankly. Louisiana has had quarterback injury issues over the last month, and their offense has taken a hit because of it. TCU can score against anyone. Their defense is very underrated, so I'm going to take TCU to win easily, 41-13. Next, you get the Pop-Tarts Bowl. You got 18 Iowa State versus 13 Miami, 4-point favorites. This should be a good game, maybe the second best non-playoff game. Miami's quarterback and Heisman finalist Cam Ward said he is playing in this game, so Miami's offense will be explosive. Iowa State also has a good offense, as long as they don't turn the ball over well, because that's what doing in the Big 12 title game. And they should play well since Miami's defense is not good. I think in the end, Miami's offense will be just too much for the Cyclones to contain. So the Hurricanes get the win to show to the committee that they should have been a potential playoff team. I have them winning 41-34. Next, you get the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. You got Miami, Ohio, 3-point favorites versus Colorado State. In year 2 under Jay Norvell, the Rams have made a bowl game and were close to playing the Mountain West title game, despite losing one of their best weapons for the year. For Miami, Ohio, they got embarrassed in the Mac-12 title game, as I mentioned before. But for me, when good teams get embarrassed one week, they usually play better the following week, especially when the team has a lot of veterans on it like Miami, Ohio does. Now, in conference play, mostly every single game Colorado State played, whether they were facing a good team or a bad team, was a one-possession game. So I think this will be a one-possession game, but the veterans of Miami, Ohio get the job done. Either win 23-20. Next, you get the Go Bowling Military Bowl. You got East Carolina versus NC State, 5-point favorites. This is a nice little battle between North Carolina schools. East Carolina had an intern coach for the majority of the season. Now he's been promoted head coach. North Carolina State had their starting quarterback go down with the season injury. So they played a freshman quarterback, which, has its ups and downs. I like the way the Wolfpack has ended their season, though, to get to being bowl eligible. And I think despite losing their best weapon to the transfer portal and their defense coordinator is now gone, the Wolfpack find a way to build momentum for next season. I've waited 26-20. Next, you get the Valera Alma Bowl, which is 17 BYU versus 23 Colorado, 3-point favorites. This is the best non-playoff bowl game, in my opinion. BYU felt robbed of not playing the Big 12 title game after starting off the season not at all, and not getting to the title game because of tiebreakers. Colorado has improved immensely. A lot of people thought this would be the Big 12 title matchup a month ago, so it's nice we get to finally see what this matchup would actually look like, since Drew Sanders, Travis Hunter are playing. That's what Deion Sanders said. I'm not going to I have no reason not to believe Deion Sanders in this case. I think it'll be a close thing that comes down to the wire. I think the star power of Colorado, and more importantly, the reason struggles for the Cougars on offense to end the season, will be the difference maker in this game. I have Colorado winning 31-27. Next, we get the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. You get Marshall versus 22 Army, 16.5-point favorites. It stings for Army that they barely missed out on the G5 playoff spot, but they face the Sun Belt champions here. I think this is a perfect game for Army to show that they are worthy as a Group of 5 champion to make the playoffs. I know Marshall's defense is good, but Army's offense is really good. Plus, Marshall's head coach is now gone, since he was a really good coach. I feel his presence will be missed as the Knights get the win to have one of the best seasons in school history. I have Army winning 31-16. Also, by the way, RP named the game today. Then just get the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl. We got Iowa versus 19 Missouri, her 3-point favorites. Missouri didn't have quite the season they did last year, mainly due to injuries. However, they finished the season strong. And there's a lot of question marks here. The star receiver for Missouri is out, and for Iowa, their star running back is out. And since Iowa's involved, you just got to expect a defensive game in general. But I feel like Missouri's defense will step up, and I'm going to go with the veteran quarterback and Brady Cook from Missouri to deliver to the Tigers a close win, either winning 17-16. Next, you get the Reliquist Bowl. You got 11 Alabama, 10-point favorites versus Michigan. The Crimson Tide were the first team left out of the playoffs, and some people thought they should have been in over of SMU. Well, if Alabama still cares if it's season strong, then this is the perfect matchup, because Michigan's defense is good, but has no offense to speak of. They just can't let it be like the Oklahoma situation, who's a similar team as Michigan, where as long as you don't commit turnovers and just play clean football, you'll win the game. I have Alabama winning 27-9. Next, you get the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. You get Louisville, 2.5-point favorites versus Washington. In recent years, ACC teams have fared well in this bowl game, and I like that to continue. Louisville has an explosive offense, and while Louisville's defense is not strong, I don't feel like Washington has the offensive firepower to keep up Louisville, so I have Louisville winning 34-24. Next, you get the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. You get 15 South Carolina, 9.5-point favorites versus 20 Illinois. Congratulations. What an amazing season for both teams here. I thought both would be lucky just to make a bowl game, go 6-6, but both are ranked to finish the season. Expect this to be more of a defensive matchup. I think South Carolina's offense, though, is just a little more dynamic. Same with their defense. So I'll take the Gamecocks to win to this game to get double-digit wins. Either win 23-13. Next, you get the Kinder's Texas Bowl. You got Baylor versus LSU, 1-point favorites. A lot of people see, Big 12 SEC matchup here, SEC all the way. Well, not so fast. LSU has playmakers on offense, and their defense is good. But their defense, however, is not good. Baylor can score on them with these. Baylor's a good offense. And more importantly, Baylor has won 6 straight games to end the season, one of the hottest teams in the country. Therefore, I'm going to take the Bears to win the game, get the upset. I have to win 34-31. Next, you got the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. You got Duke versus 14 Ole Miss, 14.5-point favorites. For Duke, an Iowa season's amazing for them. However, there should not be expecting a tough win here. Duke's quarterback just transferred, and for Ole Miss, their starting quarterback, Justin Dart's actually playing in this game. Plus, Ole Miss is mad they didn't make the playoffs. They want to show how they should have made the playoffs, and therefore they'll win this game. I'd win 27-10. Next, you get the Servpro First Responder Bowl. You got North Texas versus Texas State, 10-point favorites. The battle of the Texas schools, and actually this is basically de facto home game for North Texas. North Texas has a great offense, but their defense is atrocious. Texas State's defense is not great either, but it's better than North Texas. Plus, Texas State has a high-powered offense of their own, so I think Texas State outscores North Texas to get the win here. Either way, 42-31. Next, you got Duke's Mayo Bowl. You got Minnesota, 6.5-point favorites versus Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has been one of those teams that's been disappointed since I thought they were going to be a C-title contender. The Hokies are in trouble this game. They're on their third-string quarterback now, and their defense has been very consistent. For the Gophers, win or lose, I know exactly what I'm getting from them. This team will run hard, play good defense. I think the Gophers get the win to win 8 games, which for Minnesota is a really good season. Either win 24-16. And then last but not least, you get the Bahamas Bowl with Buffalo versus Liberty, 1.5-point favorites. It's interesting that Liberty's It's interesting that despite Liberty's quarterback going to the transfer portal, the Eagles are the favorite in this game. This is not the same team that made a New Year's Six bowl game last year. With Buffalo, they're coming in on a 4-game winning streak, so I think they will continue their good momentum and win this game to cap off bowl season. I have Buffalo winning 31, Liberty 20. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel down about me. Again, shortly next week, I'll come out with my playoff picks and all that, so stay tuned for that. And please watch the Army-Navy game today, and the bowl game today, and the Heisman Trophy presentation day, and all that as football season is going to close here. Thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful day.